and low specials. Build your dream home, raise a family, or retire in the country. Colfax Meadows has a place for you. Find us at nancykellyrealty.com.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us today. It's Tuesday, February 56, 2023. I'm Meteorologist Justin Storm alongside Ag Director Bridgette Readel. Bridgette, how are you doing? I'm sorry you're the only one in studio today. You made the whole drive and I decided not to.
That's okay. My drive actually came from Watertown, South Dakota. So I would say my drive.
You were on your way up.
Yeah, I was not coming from northern Cass County for a change. So it was a little different. For those who are out on the road for I-29, there were some scattered icy spots, especially around Summit, South Dakota, which is the Bermuda Triangle of weather. So it always happens at Summit. So everybody just slow down, be careful there. Visibility was a little lower due to some blowing snow, but it wasn't bad. Now, I was also northbound. And when you're headed northbound in the driving lane, road conditions were fair. They're not ideal yet, but wasn't just too bad. Those of you headed south, keep an eye out and drive a little slower, please.
Yeah, there's a lot of slick spots this morning, good handful of accidents. And, I think this every single time that this happens, why does everyone forget how to drive every time it snows? So my wife was out and about this morning on her way to work. Go ahead, Bridgette.
I was going to say, hold on. I'm not sure we all forget. Or is it that we're just so sick of January 75th that we've just decided we don't care anymore? But please, back to your wife had to get across town.
Too. So she was on her way across town to go to work this morning, and somebody pulled out in front of her. Well, she was doing 50, and apparently that wasn't fast enough for some people. But we had completely snow-covered roads up here in Grand Forks. Yeah. I'd say about an inch on the roads, and they hadn't plowed them yet because it was just snowing. And someone pulled out right in front of her, and she almost smashed into them. And she said, I don't know why they couldn't just wait like 15 seconds for me to drive by because there wasn't a single car behind her.
Well, is she driving a white vehicle?
No, it's a black car.
Okay, because sometimes...
So it really stood out on the snow.
Okay, I was going to say, sometimes you don't see those white ones.
Right. Maybe, I don't know if I shouldn't say it's everyone forgets how to drive. I think it's an impatience thing.
Sure, that's exactly what it can be.
Just wait a little longer for the car to go by you, and then you don't have to worry about hitting anybody,
But if I'm in front of you, I can
see
go
it all
faster.
the time. I almost got ran off the road yesterday by a semi that didn't check his blind, or he didn't check his mirror. I'm right next to him. I can see him in his mirror, but he just flipped over in the other lane real quick, and I had to slam on the brakes at 75 miles an hour.
Aren't you glad that the roads are clear so you could?
Yeah, or otherwise I wouldn't have been stopping I would have been underneath the semi.
You'd have been ditch diving a median.
Would have been swerving into 2 feet of snow.
Well,
oh my.
Some of those medians are so full, you literally could you'd have to work to launch yourself up and over the humps to get into the ditch right now. It's pretty wild.
No kidding. You ain't just going right in and slowing down. You're launching like a ramp into that median.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, well, we picked up about 2 inches of snow here in the FM Metro. It was a general 1 to 3 is what I'm seeing so far from reports that have been coming in, and we can already see some of those roads starting to melt off. And is it still cloudy over there, Bridgette, over Fargo?
Sun's coming out.
Satellite shows
it's better.
Yeah, sun's coming out. Yeah, the satellite's still showing cloudy skies over Fargo, and so are some of the sky cams, but it's mostly sunny up here in Grand Forks. In fact, just before the show started, I just got out of my tractor. I was plowing the fields, getting ready for spring planting.
You're far ahead of many.
I am. I think we're all looking forward to some spring weather too. And just unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot here for everybody. I mean, 20s and 30s, that's about all you're going to get after a couple of days in the teens.
Now,
what are we on? Day 139 on our streak right now.
I'm not sure I realize it's a record, and there's folks that are pulling for us to make the 153rd day without a day above 40. I'm okay if we don't get there. I don't think we need that record right now, but that's just me.
I think there's two ways I look at it. One, go big or go home. We're 11 days or what are we? We're like 11 days away from breaking the record. But at the same time, we need to melt all of this snow, and we can't be getting in on 50s and 60s to melt the snow. We need 30s and low 40s and like 2 weeks of just sunshine and 30s.
Well,
and that'll do a number on the snowpack.
And we're going to need our soil temperatures to come up because you don't want to plant a crop into cold ground. And currently I saw a message this morning, most soil temperatures around the region, some are probably about 8 degrees. So it's not completely frozen, and that's just, barely sticking a probe in, but it's still cold.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to see here if I can pull this up. I'll have to do a little more digging to do it. I was going to see what the 4, 8, and 24-inch soil temperatures were. I haven't looked at them in a few weeks, but if I want to remember right, across eastern North Dakota, the frost line is only about 20 inches down.
I'd say
2 to 3 feet, somewhere in there.
I'd say that's a surprise. I don't even think it's quite that deep in a lot of places. We just had so much snow cover early on.
During our next break, I'll see if I can pull some of that data up. Unless you got something you want to stall with, you got an ag topic. Actually, I have one that I would like to ask you about.
Okay, bring it.
So this was something I heard yesterday before the show started, one of the quick ag minutes that you do throughout the day here on WDAY.
Well, let me get my notes up now.
Along the lines. Start digging. Maybe you can answer this one off the top of your head, but it was the right to repair was what the topic was on. You know which one I'm talking about?
I do. So American Farm Bureau Federation has worked with John Deere, and they also just signed a right to repair memorandum of understanding with Case IH and New Holland. That was very recent.
I see. Okay. So what was the deal? Do they not have the right to repair their machines by themselves?
Okay. You buy new equipment from these guys, right? And oftentimes you don't have the tools or the manuals in order to do a lot of that repair yourself. If something breaks and needs to be welded, that's one thing. But oftentimes you're talking about precision tools that require a lot more electrical work, particularly computer-generated work. And so a lot of the manufacturers have said that's not something you can get into. And realistically, if you don't have the right tools or the right information, you wouldn't be able to fix it. And the manufacturers, John Deere and Case, weren't releasing that information prior to, and you needed to have a service call or bring it into a dealership for repair. American Farm Bureau has been working with these manufacturers to try to bring forward the ability for folks to work on their own items. I heard one farmer describe it really well, and he said, if it's mechanical, if it's something that I can do, if I have to weld it, bolt it, something like that, I'm willing to do it. But when it comes to a lot of the computer technology, I can understand why they want to protect their proprietary and copyrighted information, and I probably need more of a professional to do that. So, yes, American Farm Bureau is asking for these things to happen. How much will that change? Well, the companies are saying they're going to make tools and information more available to farmers who want to use it. Does it hold anybody's feet to the fire one way or the other? It doesn't at this point, but it's just an agreement.
Okay, I see. Yeah, I would imagine that a lot of the technical side, the wiring, all the computers that go into it are probably a little above most people's heads.
Well, and think about some of the stuff that's in there, and you don't want to lose your information, right? You're talking to somebody who, from time to time, I'm afraid to press the wrong yes or no on my laptop for fear I'll just blow it up like Chernobyl. So when you're in your machines and you're talking about your data that uploads to the cloud, and you could have spray records, yield records, et cetera, you don't want to lose any of that. Granted, there are backups and it gets used in other places, but you're still very cautionary with where that might go.
Yeah, I know a buddy of mine up here, their operations, they lost data on one of their fields.
Yes.
And it almost in a way shut them down for like a week until they could get some of that data back. They couldn't do anything.
Remember,
it literally stopped them.
And cybersecurity on farm is a huge target right now. The FBI issued a critical warning last fall in September saying that agribusinesses and farms are being targeted, and they wanted folks to be as cautious as possible so they didn't lose data. Because if you think about like your friend, they were down for days. You can now, we've seen agribusinesses that can't ship. You pull into an elevator without that computer, they can't probe trucks for samples. They can't write tickets, scale tickets. They can't write checks. Dole was recently affected, the pineapple company. Yeah. They weren't able to ship fresh fruit for several days because they got hacked. And so these things are considerably targets for a lot of hackers out there who want to try to take ransoms off of them.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing with it too, because a lot of people are like, oh, why do they want to hack someone's farm? What are they going to get out of it? Well, right. The person who got hacked can't do their operation unless they have that information, and the only way they're getting that information back is if they're paying the person that hacked them a bunch of money to get it back.
Absolutely. Maybe. The average cost to recover for a small or mid-sized business agribusiness is roughly $84,000 to get, and that's if you can get your information back. If you tell them I'm not paying the ransom, they'll go ahead and sell your information on the black web. And now your whatever banking information in particular, but otherwise could be out there. Or even if they don't sell sensitive information like some of your farm records, you just can't get to it. So that puts you in a bad spot to begin with. It's not easy to recover some of that.
I would imagine that's really not. And anyone listening, if you've had your operation or if you've had to deal with one of these cyber attacks on your operation, I'd love to hear the story, what it was like. Were you able to get it back? Did you have to pay for it? And if you want to stay anonymous, you can. Give us a call on the Red Wing Studio hotline. 701-293-9000 is the studio number. If you want to call us in the 150 segment, because we have two guests that are going to be joining us for this segment, and you're more than welcome to join in on that conversation.
Yes.
But Bridgette, do you want to introduce who our two guests are going to be when we come back?
When we come back, we are going to visit with Jason Hanson and Kyle Okke. They are two of the members of the AgMafia. They also are part of the Agronomist Happy Hour podcast. These gentlemen are crop consultants in the state of North Dakota. And we're going to talk about kind of the state of affairs as we get ready to go to spring planting this year. So we'll be right back, folks. Again, that'll be with the AgMafia, Jason Hanson and Kyle Okke.
Red Wing Shoes, Labor Masters, and WDAY Radio have joined forces during the month of March to give one lucky winner a brand new pair of Red Wing work boots. During the month of March, stop in and register at Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store, Labor Masters, or call in when you hear this.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. Start walking.
We'll draw the name of the lucky winner during my show, The Jay Thomas Show, on Friday, March 31st. The Red Wing Boot Giveaway. Go to WDAYRadioNow.com for details.
You missed the turn. We just passed Brockmeyer Tile and Stone. It's back there.
Where are we going?
Brockmeyer Tile and Stone, you know.
They specialize in custom granite and quartz fabrication and installation.
And laser measuring, so we don't have to worry about a thing. I hear their projects are always amazing.
Brockmeyer Tile and Stone, just south of Costco on Veterans Boulevard.
Granite and quartz, it's what we do, baby.
Nancy Kelly Realty is here for you. We would love to show you around. Looking for the simplicity of country living? Then welcome home to Colfax Meadows in Colfax, North Dakota. An easy 25-minute drive from Fargo or Wahpeton. We have half and 1 acre lots starting at $22,500 with a 2-year tax exemption on new homes and low specials. Build your dream home, raise a family, or retire in the country. Colfax Meadows has a place for you. Find us at nancykellyrealty.com.
Do you suffer from stiff, achy, chronic knee pain? Have you been told you have arthritis? Is knee pain keeping you from enjoying your favorite hobbies? If so, the next 60 seconds could change your life. Please listen carefully. If we find you are a candidate for our unique approach, we will do a trial treatment, and day one you will know without a doubt if we can help you. Pick up the phone right now and call 701-502-6200. And best of all, we may be able to reduce and even eliminate your knee pain without pills, shots, or surgery. Due to limited capacity, you must call now at 701-502-6200. Hurry. Call now to find out if you qualify for our program that is changing lives and helping people save time, money, and agony. Call now 701-502-6200. You have nothing to lose, so call right now.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wolf, president of Laney's. Are you considering replacing your furnace this winter? If so, you need to consider Laney's, the only company in town that offers a lifetime guarantee. Our guarantee states that if anything ever goes wrong with your furnace, Laney's will fix it for free. Day or night, no cost to you. That's Laney's legendary lifetime guarantee.
Annual check and service required. Call Laney's today for more details at 237-0543.
It's just great. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
Mr. Clean Clean Freak delivers an innovative cleaning experience with a powerful deep cleaning mist that starts working on contact to break down tough messes in seconds.
Just freak,
wipe,
done.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist and ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Yes, we do have availability. Those dates for how many guests?
Andrea's Boutique Hotel is the destination to tie the knot.
Oh, you want the whole property?
She needs an assistant to catch the bookings bouquets.
249 guests, huh? Oh, and 3 dogs.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. It's 1:23 this afternoon. Just going to touch on this before we bring in our guests. I did find the soil temperatures across North Dakota, and for the eastern half of our state, that frost line is between 8 inches and 2 feet, and most of us are sitting somewhere in that 20-inch range, where temperatures are at 30 to 34 degrees. So that frost line really isn't that deep. And for those watching us on Facebook, YouTube Live, we're showing the graphic of that map right now, brought to you by NDON, which is showing those temperatures at 20 inches right now. And as you go up to 8 inches, they're all about 28 to 32 inches. So really, Bridgette, like you mentioned, the frost is not that deep.
Not right now.
Not right now. No, it's not. So at this time, we're going to introduce our guests here. That's going to be Jason Hanson and Kyle Okke of the AgMafia and the Agronomist Happy Hour podcast. Jason, Kyle, how are you guys doing today?
Well, pretty decent considering the amount of snow we have at this time of the year.
So let me ask you, because you guys are crop consultants, you're agronomists, you do all this awesome stuff that Bridgette's been telling me about. I'll start with Jason and then Kyle. What are your guys' thoughts on how much snow we've had? You know, we've kind of heard a little bit about what this temperature trend is going to look like, and it looks like we're going to rival this record for hitting 40 degrees heading into April 11th. What are your concerns as we head towards springtime for getting into the fields and getting a crop off this year?
Well, I think we have just as much ice on the lake now Devil's Lake, as we've had for most of the winter. Our insulation, our factor value there with our snow is keeping these. I mean, our temperature at soil level is way warmer than our air temperature right now. It's going to take a lot of heat to start really getting things moving because there's a lot of reflective power out there. In my travels, about the only spots you see where there's any dark hilltops are probably south of Minot on your way down to Bismarck and around the Falkirk mine. So there's some nervousness, I think, particularly around corn at this stage already, because it's not my phone. Next 9 days looks pretty cold.
Right. And how about you, Kyle?
Well, we are, the last I looked, so I'm in Dickinson, southwestern part of the state, and we have shattered our annual snowfall total for any winter by close to 20 inches, if I'm not mistaken. And it is still very white. I'm actually at a meeting right now with a bunch of other farmers from my area. And, you know, as we're talking to each other, we're like, when's the start date going to be? When are we going to get things going? And a lot of us are talking, we're going to be lucky if it's the end of this month, or end of April, I should say. It's where traditionally a lot of us here would be starting to think about doing some kind of farming here by the beginning of April, most years. So
Right.
we're definitely going to be behind versus normal.
Yeah, the western portion of the state, especially around Bismarck, just been getting pounded with snow. And even here, we've had our fair share. We're at just shy of 60 inches, mid 50s right now. So we're about 6 to 8 inches above average. Grand Forks is around 63, I think. Going into April 1st, the average snowpack, or I should just say the record snowpack, and this does vary by day, but April 1st, the record is 10 inches of snow for our snowpack. And last I checked, we're in the upper teens to near 20. So it's like you said, it's going to take a lot, and we have to worry about the flooding aspect, and that could cause a big issue if the fields stay wet for too long as well. Bridgette, what are your thoughts on all of this? Because you do work with these guys as well, right?
I do quite a bit. And actually, I want to take this in a slightly different direction. So all of us talk regularly about what are we going to be doing to get ready for spring at this point. First of all, it's meeting season. So picking up all the tidbits and information that we can before we get into the field is going to be vital. So I'm going to ask the guys, what are probably the top of mind 2 things that you've got going on? I'll start with you, Kyle. What are the top of mind 2 things that you want to make sure your farmers are well aware of going into the 2023 growing season?
I think our big one here is going to be that last fall was so dry that we didn't get a lot of burn down done. And we don't do a lot of tillage here, so we rely pretty heavily on spraying weeds out in the fall. And we didn't do much of that because things were so dry. And now, with planting season getting pushed so late, it's going to be easy to forget about things. It's going to be easy to offload things, and everyone's going to be focused on fertilizer and planting, and we're going to forget about spraying until it's too late, till the crop's up. And we're not going to be able to get a good pre-seed application of herbicide put down so we can start clean. I think that'll be our biggest problem here, is that we need to take the time to keep up spraying weeds.
So Jason, are you thinking something similar in your neighborhood around Devil's Lake, or is it going to be a little bit different?
No, my biggest concern probably is going to be that I think this is going to be a perfect scenario and setup for, we're going to have a tremendous kochia year. Last year we did get our burn downs on, which traditionally doesn't happen here. We just kind of seed. It was so wet in the spring. Possibly looks like that's the case here too. So we just have to pay attention. And there's probably another thing where people are kind of wondering at the retail level where this, I don't know if this will change some of the cropping plans, that they'll, if we get pushed later, if there'll be more soybeans put in. But as of right now, there really isn't a whole lot of soybean seed spoken for, which is kind of odd for this time of year at this point.
Would you say that there was a lot more intentions to go in with corn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, corn was a tremendous crop last year, and it's top of mind. Everybody, well, you should have kept planting corn. Everything told you that was not the thing to do. And we got this gift of a fall that was just unbelievable. So people can count those years on, they remember them specifically when you ask them.
Right.
Are we going to get 2 of them back to back? I don't think so.
That's unusual. All right. And we're going to ask some more of those unusual questions here. It is 1:30 in the afternoon. We are at the bottom of the hour. We are visiting with the AgMafia. That would be Jason Hanson, Kyle Okke. That actually includes myself. But we are visiting today about what's going on as we get ready to go into the spring. It's kind of like the back alley discussion on what do we think it's going to look like from the Mafia. So we will be back shortly, and we'll continue that conversation.
They'll have you laughing right along with them. They're Bonnie and Friends.
Nothing too bad. You got Dean. You could make money there. That could have been $10.
We
I'm
don't
just
do that.
saying.
He's just doing his job.
But he could
Full
take
service
calls when
meteorologist.
he gets off the air, and it could be $10 a pop.
What are the three numbers on the back of the card? I mean, how hard is this?
Did you live a criminal life when you were young,
I was
or
trying
what?
to make money. I'm collecting Social Security.
Well, don't drag Dean down with you. I can't afford to have both of you in jail at the same time.
Bonnie and Friends. Catch them weekday mornings beginning at 5.
Come to Okke Tire, the leading Continental and General Tire dealer. If you're looking to deck out your ride in a fresh set of wheels, you've come to the right place. We offer passenger and light truck tires, as well as ag and commercial tires. There's something for everyone. And here at Okke Tire, we pride ourselves in being employee-owned. To serve you better, visit us at one of our 7 locations across North Dakota. You'll be sure to find a store close to home. Visit OkTireInc.com for more information.
Quality Meats and Seafood in West Fargo is hiring for Class B CDL delivery drivers. Quality Meats is an employee-owned company with profit sharing. Truly great benefits including Blue Cross Blue Shield, health, vision, and dental, 401k with company match, and more. Plus, meal and cell phone allowances and lodging covered while you travel. You're going to get every weekend off, and some routes create a 3-day weekend. And if this wasn't good enough, they're going to throw in discounted pricing on meat and seafood. Ready to go? Apply in person at Quality Meats and Seafood in West Fargo.
Are you looking for a summer internship? If so, you are in luck. Mindak Farmers Cooperative, located in Wahpeton, North Dakota, is looking for summer interns in electrical and instrumentation with the opportunity to expand into full-time employment. For more information, call 701-671-7777 or apply now online at mdf.coop/careers. That's mdf.coop/careers. Fire up your engines and cruise into spring with Topper's 63rd Annual Rod and Custom Car Show. Saturday and Sunday, April 1st and 2nd at Veterans Memorial Arena, West Fargo. Get an up-close look at some of the region's hottest classic and custom rides. Bring the family. The best rides in the region will be at the 63rd Annual Toppers Car Club Rod and Custom Show. Visit topperscarclub.com for more information. Sponsored by
Vision Bank, Line X, Expressway Suites, Auto Value, Glenn's Auto Body and Repair, and Sanders Manufacturing.
It's hard to believe Sweet Shots has been open for a year and they want to celebrate with you. March 31st through April 4th, enjoy live music, great food, drink, and golf specials. Gather your team for a scramble tournament to win great prizes. Or enjoy a free hour of golf with perishable food donation on Tuesday the 4th from 11 to 5. Live music March 31st through April 4th. So swing those clubs, eat great food, and think spring with a tasty beverage at Sweet Shots for the anniversary celebration. Details at sweetshots.com or see their Facebook page.
Olivet Lutheran Church in Fargo invites you to join us for worship Sunday mornings at 8:30 and 10:30 and Wednesday evenings at 6. During this time of Lent, our theme is No Greater Love, where we will reflect on God's love for us through the death of Jesus on the cross. Our sanctuary is also open Wednesdays during lunch for individual reflection and prayer, where you can light a candle, leave a prayer at the cross, or simply be still. For more information and to watch all of our services online, go to olivet.org.
Plains Grain and Agronomy has an opening for a precision ag technician, assisting the precision ag manager in the sales, setup, and programming of farm equipment. The candidate will work with custom application equipment and assist growers in troubleshooting equipment purchased. A knowledge of farming and a knowledge of John Deere controllers is helpful. Applications are available at plainsgrain.com and click on Careers. That's plainsgrain.com and click on Careers.
And welcome back to WDAY Weather and Ag in Focus. I'm Bridgette Readel, Ag Director, along with Meteorologist Justin Storm. And our guests today are the AgMafia, also the Agronomist Happy Hour podcast. Jason Hanson from the Devil's Lake area, Kyle Okke from out by Dickinson. Gentlemen, we've been visiting about, all right, what's spring 2021 going to look like? And my question to you is, and I'm going to start with Kyle on this one, is there a point where you're going to have folks make rapid planting intention changes? Are they going to make a big swing from what they currently have bought for seed? I mean, is there I get asked this question all the time, is there a magical cutoff date that your farmers are looking at and saying, all right, I'm switching out of corn to soybeans to more sunflowers, whatever the case might be? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I have plenty of thoughts. I don't know if there's a magical planting date by any means, but we're already talking audibles.
Yeah.
That is something we're definitely talking about at this point, because we know that our planting intentions are going to be a lot later than what we originally anticipated, which is normally mid to late April. And we now are talking probably beginning of May for sure until we get started. And so usually the comfort crop for a lot of us to plant is wheat.
Yep.
Usually not the most, pencil-wise, you don't want to put too many acres because of rotation reasons, and might not pay you back dividends and yield versus growing something like corn or sunflowers. I think corn will be the one that will probably suffer if we go too late into the year without planting, but we got to look back at last year. Last year we didn't start planting corn until middle of May, late May.
Yeah.
And we ended up doing very well, exceptionally into June plantings. So it just depends on the conditions. I think if we have conditions like we did last year, when we finally get planting, I don't think there'll be a lot of changes. I do think there'll be more sunflowers being planted with the anticipation of things being late, because they're generally a good late crop.
Right.
But I don't know about a magic cutoff day.
Okay, because that is a big question folks ask a lot of times is, okay, are we going to get too late because we have wet conditions? And no doubt crop insurance weighs into some of this as well, but there's never a specific science to what we're talking about there. And so speaking of some of those science-based questions, so Jason, when it comes to this, what we did last fall going into this year, cover crops have more and more of a high focus these days. Looking back, will you make any different recommendations on the use of cover crops based on last fall into this summer, or you pretty much have a set in stone, this is how I'm going to use cover crops? How does that look for you?
So one of the fun things I get to do is I'm on a called the Trusted Advisor Partnership. So it's a bunch of us consultants in the state, certified crop advisors, and we had a call this morning. And just, it's a networking thing where you can kind of minimize the, talk about the failures, talk about the positives and scenarios and situations. And so that's what we're doing. We're still focused on that. Mm-hmm. There is one thing we will have in this state, and that is wind. I can guarantee it. So you have to be prepared to, how does your crop handle wind? It can set it back, it can shear it off, it can move soil, and we're trying to minimize that. So you just have to, that's a very audible type thing where you try different things and then lean on your cohorts that have tried it, made mistakes, and then you can do the things that you feel work for your farmer and their operation. Mm-hmm. So we're still gonna tackle it. We have to.
Kyle, I'm going to go back over to you because there's been a lot of talks and it's kind of been a new buzzword, and we've touched on this a few times during our show in the past, and that's the use of biologicals. What are your thoughts on that? And I've heard Bridgette had mentioned that you have actually at the conference kind of talking about this. What are your thoughts on these biologicals, the concept, the application, the practicality? What do you think about all of that?
It's a great question. It's definitely at the top of mind right now.
It's probably the most frequent thing that farmers are asking about is how should I use them and what? And so any guidance that you've been learning while you're there today, Kyle?
Yeah, there's definitely some. There's no one size fits all scenario. That's one thing we're learning. Mm-hmm. There's also, everything's very specific to your situation. So if you know more about your soils and more about those parameters, and a lot of the focus here isn't just on your traditional soil testing, it's using things like the Haney test, the Soltiva test. So you're looking at carbon respiration, you're looking at water extractable nutrients, and how you can utilize both of those levels of soil information to your advantage and leverage when you know you can use a biological, or maybe it's just having a different fertility program. It's definitely using it as a one size fits all and going fence row to fence row, so to speak. I don't know is the right way to use biologicals, but understanding your particular field situation, there's a lot of really, really good fits, I think. And that's what we're getting out of this meeting today.
I see. And there's been talks about how biologicals haven't been used as much in the past due, one, to supply, and the second being the cost that it's taken, or the cost of the biologicals in general. Now that we're starting to see this become a little bit more wider spread application uses, and the production of it as well is getting cheaper, are we seeing that the prices on these biologicals are coming down to maybe they're rivaling conventional means?
Maybe, but I would say that the price of biologicals have probably inflated no differently than fertilizer and other crop inputs. But it's people's knowledge of how to utilize these biological products and what they can actually do. And now it's not just about a general crop stimulus to try to improve yield, that they're tackling very specific things. It could be protecting it from a disease. It could be a certain stressor. It could be a certain nutrient that it's releasing or making more available to the plant. And so I think the world of biologicals has gotten a lot more refined, so to speak, on how to utilize them and what they can do for you.
So it's what you said there about the particular pests, disease, stressors, et cetera. So that has a question that I'm going to prompt to Jason. You truly despise flea beetles and canola. Pests like that, with the snowpack we've had this year, do you think that the snow acted as an insulator with some of our pests or our diseases, and we're going to need to have an elevated concern for those throughout our growing season?
Thank you for reminding me of my stressor points,
Sorry.
Bridgette. I appreciate
so
that.
Sorry.
Yes, we will have a tremendous flea beetle pressure in canola country again, because we barely have any winter mortality, and with this snowpack we're going to have virtually zero. So we're going to have to pay attention to that. A lot of our diseases that we contend with in the state will be, depends on how we start. We can have seedling diseases with the amount of moisture right off the bat. A lot of things will come in. Insect pressure, between flea beetles and grasshoppers, those are probably the ones on top of mind. I think will be elevated again, because this will be the third year in a row of that scenario. So between those factors, what Kyle was talking about with biologicals and interest from farmers, consultants are really busy right now with, writing prescriptions. This whole biological piece, you're going to have to really get to know your soils on your farm and the differences. So our profession is very, I like it. It's very unique. It's very different in what we do, but there's a lot of increasing interest from outside. The biological piece, there's more. Can you not use synthetic nitrogen, for example? Can you do something different? Farmers are always looking for new and innovative ways to become more efficient, more profitable, and they might have different goals on their farm too environmentally.
Well,
so we got a lot of stuff to look at this spring and summer. It's going to be exciting.
There is never a dull moment in agronomy, and honestly, Justin is hoping that you answer all of his questions so he can use them in his farm simulator game when the rest of us aren't watching, because he's trying to make a profit like we are. But we had a caller, and I'm going to pose this question back to Jason. Someone asked, why are we called the AgMafia? So how would you like to answer that, Jason?
It goes back a ways to, if you want to kind of see what we do, this conversation, Bridgette and WDAY, gives us a window to kind of talk about our professions. If you're more curious, I'd suggest you go on to Snapchat and find AgMafia. And we had a previous line of business that we were doing something, and we'd rotate this around to different people. So you get to see different aspects of ag. And that kind of went away, and we just thought this is kind of a cool name. It's kind of edgy, and it's stuck. And so we bring in other people from, aerial pilots, people that are in different aspects of finance and machinery and agriculture. So it's actually really cool. You even in your own profession, you kind of think you know until you get into somebody that really knows.
Yeah.
And it's a cool follow for a week.
It is. So that AgMafia Snap account, yeah, there's like 800 followers on there, and we rotate it every week, so somebody different has it. I already got the whole month of April lined up, so we're going to have a variety of folks who are in ag retail to ag chem manufacturing to production farm. It's a little bit all over the board as to what we're doing, and also depends on the part of the globe, because we have some folks who are going to be doing that from other places because they're actively farming while we might not be here yet. Kyle, as far as AgMafia, anything you want to add to what we do?
Well, I mean, besides the Snapchat thing and bringing in all these people from all over the place and getting a view of agriculture from so many places, the three of us are also working at kind of, let's say, making this space exciting and fun. Sometimes meetings and education on the agronomy side can get stagnant or boring.
Death by PowerPoint.
I don't want to say that. Yeah. Yes. And so us as a group, we're aimed at, you're looking at all of us on the screen right here. Our aim is to bring a little more excitement to that. Think differently about how to convey some of this information and give the whys and the how, not just the click, 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 here's the slide, let me look at it, read it for you, all this, but actually provide that same information in a more captivating way, in a way you can take home with you and utilize, I guess. So we're working just a lot on education.
So as the guy who is sort of by default the IT guy for the bunch, if folks want to find AgMafia or you or Jason, how could they do that?
Oh, so many ways. Social media would probably be the quickest way to find us. So if it's through the AgMafia, it'd be AgMafia LLC on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me as Okke from Muskogee, but it's not spelled O-K-I-E, it's O-K-K-E on all social platforms. So that's Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, etc. I'll let Jason explain how to find him.
That's right.
Yeah, mine is handle on social media is Rock and Roll Agronomy. I use that for everything: Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. And then you get bored one day and you're driving down, and you don't want to look at snow anymore. You can hop over onto our podcast, The Agronomist Happy Hour. And we talk about other ag stuff and interesting topics and individuals. And that's kind of, oh, and we drink beer occasionally when we do that too. Yep. So that's fun.
Actually, as I was driving this morning, I was listening to the latest discussion on how to #crush kosher, everyone's nemesis going into 2023. So a huge thank you to Kyle Okke, Jason Hanson. We greatly appreciate you guys joining us today. We are going to catch up with the American Ag Network and markets, and then we're going to recap the headlines as well as the weather. Stay tuned.
Hey, it's Bonnie Mastati from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up on our next show, we're going to be chatting with the crew from Sweet Shots as they mark their 1-year anniversary. Oh my gosh, it's a week full of live music, great food, drinks, golf specials. You can win awesome prizes. We'll get all the details. And licensed registered dietitian Elizabeth McGee will be in to answer all your health, diet, and nutrition questions. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
So the media says indictments are looming against former President Trump anytime in New York, Georgia, and Washington. Trump calls it a political witch hunt, and Alan Dershowitz, the famed attorney, agrees. The famed liberal Harvard professor speaking out against the targeting of Trump in his new book, Get Trump. All this week, Rob Schmidt is on Newsmax talking to Dershowitz about the weaponization of our justice system. Rob Schmidt is exposing this shocking abuse of power. You need to watch Rob Schmidt and Alan Dershowitz tonight. It's not about Trump. It's about you and your freedom. Watch Rob Schmidt tonight, 6 p.m. Central. It's the hottest show on cable news. Find Newsmax on major cable systems and streaming like Roku, Samsung, Vizio, Pluto, Zumo, and more. Don't forget to download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone. You can watch it anytime, anywhere. I watch Newsmax all the time. You should too. And tell your friends and family to tune in to Newsmax today.
You've heard of the saying, out with the old and in with the new. Hi, Teresa here from the Fargo Red Wing Shoe Store. Have you been hanging on to those tired old Red Wing boots that no longer give you the comfort and support that you need or deserve? Why wait? Stop in and see our certified fit specialist and get you a brand new pair of boots. Believe it or not, feet change over time. So let us use the newest technology to help you find the best fitting boots. 3003 Main Avenue in Fargo, Red Wing Shoes for ultimate durability.
Soybeans continue to rally. You're listening to the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen with this market update. We're talking now with Arlen Suderman of StoneX. Arlen, let's dive into the grain and oilseed trade. First off, soybeans, meal buying coming back into that bean complex. It looks like maybe funds have stopped liquidating their longs in this soy complex, and they are really, the past couple of days have seen a nice rebound here throughout this soybean trade. Talk about that a little bit for us.
Oh, they really have. And as we said before, and we talked about this a lot a year ago, with the algos in control, when the market starts in one direction, they will just keep pushing out orders in that direction until something stops them. And we saw that with huge limit moves up and down, both, for example, in wheat, where we'd see the big swings. And so we're seeing that in kind of a microcosm in the bean market right now. The funds had built some massive positions in beans and meal on the drought in Argentina, and then they took profits. And now that they've taken profits, the market got oversold, and some of that money is coming back in. We'll have to see how much of it comes back in. When you look at the wheat market, that's also seeing a lot of strength today. We see a market that's now becoming more focused on weather. The drought in the southwestern plains, where we're in the early days and now starting to see some of those acres getting failed for insurance purposes, and now more worries about getting the spring wheat crop planted for the northern plains. And if we look at the spring wheat balance sheet, it's very tight. We need the acres. And spring wheat has a problem competing with corn and soybeans in much of the northern plains, especially the Red River Valley. And now weather may threaten getting those with the heavy snowpack they have in that area, may threaten that as well. We're once again starting to focus on fundamentals as the banking contagion fears start to ease a bit.
That's Arlen Suderman of StoneX on the American Ag Network. I'm Jesse Allen.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. It's 1:53 this afternoon. Temperatures are in the teens. Wind is switching out of the northwest at about 10 miles an hour right now. I want to open up the phone line again. The Red Wing Shoes phone line is 701-293-9000. I'd asked a question before we had our guests on today, which was Jason Hanson and Kyle Okke of the AgMafia. And we were talking, me and Bridgette were talking about the risks and potentials for cybersecurity and being hacked for farm operations. So I was wondering if there was anyone out there that's had to deal with this. If you firsthand had to deal with a cyber attack or even losing some of your data, were you able to get it back? How did that whole process work? What did it look like? And if you want to stay anonymous, you can.
Actually, I'm really hoping nobody calls in that didn't happen to any of them. That would really be awesome. And one thing that I do want to highlight about that cybersecurity for on farm, Dakota State University down in South Dakota has what they call a cybersecurity program and the Deep Red Lab. And that lab is actually students and professors who are thoroughly vetted. I mean, like they have gone through all of the government background to make sure that they don't do nefarious things. They work with major companies in healthcare and in farm equipment and software to try to figure out how to hack into it to prevent other hackers from getting in there and causing chaos. So believe it or not, there's somebody working on your side at the farm level to try to protect your information. I think that's awesome.
I think that's great too, because unless you try and you try hard to get through something and find where that weak spot is, you're not going to know it's there until someone gets through. And thankfully, there are people that are paid to do this to improve the security for everybody.
So let's talk about something that's a little more kinder and gentler. And that would be the fact that we have so many soybeans that are raised in this region, and we've got 3 new soybean crush plants that are coming online very soon. Well, there is something that is being promoted now. This is a Sin Lawn. It is a turf, an artificial turf that's made with 60% conventional soybean oil that's displacing petroleum-based polyurethanes. It's already on use on the Las Vegas Strip, the San Diego Zoo, the Denver Airport, and Central Park. I saw it in Orlando at Commodity Classic. It's very cool to walk on.
Oh, that's super. I love learning all these different purposes and things that soybean oil can be used for. And this is just an ongoing growing list that we've been putting together. We've talked about how Skechers has been using them in some of their shoes, Goodyear in their tires,
Yes.
insulation around wiring. Now we're replacing petroleum in turf.
Right. I mean, we're not, this is just my personal opinion. We will not eradicate the fossil fuel market, but we are finding ways to use our soybeans, our renewable fuels. And we like growing soybeans in North Dakota. We're good at it. And we have some of the most acres of anywhere in the U.S. In fact, our counties, just by geographic size, are so large, we rank in the top producing counties because of the amount of soybean acres in them. It's tremendous.
That's super cool. Bridgette, do you mind if I switch off ag over to weather and kind of touch on what the rest of this week is going to look like?
It kind of drives a lot of things for the rest of us. And one of us will be on the road again tomorrow. So hit me with it. What am I facing?
Tomorrow? Wow. What did you do? You picked a beautiful day to be driving around tomorrow, Bridgette. That's like a needle in a haystack right there from this winter's standpoint.
Then for me, because that's generally not how I do things.
No, it definitely is not. You usually pick the day that it's going to snow and storm and be windy. Not tomorrow, though. I'll touch on tomorrow here in just a moment. I saw a little snow this morning. It was about 1 to 3 inches of snow fell across the area. And now we're dealing with mainly sunny skies, but as winds have switched out of the northwest, I got a feeling we've already hit our high temperature, which last report was 18 degrees. I would suspect we probably topped off about 19, 20 here in the FM Metro in between the last half hour. Temperatures will likely now stay steady to gradually start falling as we head throughout this afternoon. The sun might kind of let us stay around 17 degrees, but we'll see exactly what happens. But regardless, we'll more likely be stuck in the teens for the rest of today with the northwest wind at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Tonight, we're flirting with record cold. Our record low for tonight is 9 below. I don't think we're going to get there by midnight, so we'll look at tomorrow's record low, which is 15 below. I'm expecting us to drop down to 12 below tonight here in the FM Metro, but temperatures around the area for those that clear out will be between 15, maybe even a little colder than that, and 5 below zero. So it's going to be a very cold night. That's about 30 degrees below average. Could also see a little patchy fog developing into tomorrow morning. So keep that in mind. Most of us probably won't see any fog at all, but I do suspect there will be some spots that fog does develop. And within that fog, there could be a few areas where that is dense fog, where visibility is dropping under a half a mile for your Wednesday morning commute. After that, beautiful day, as I mentioned. Partly cloudy to mostly sunny tomorrow. High temperatures right around 20 degrees with a southwest wind, 5 to 15 miles an hour. And as we head into Thursday, well, we've been talking about the storm system at the beginning of this week, which I suppose was just yesterday, but as well as last week on this storm, which is falling right in line with our LRC calendar on WDAYradionow.com. That's coming in Thursday into Friday. That'll bring a chance for some snow Thursday, and then a very slight chance for some stray snow showers on Friday, but the bulk to all of this looks to be staying just to our south, at least in regards for Friday, where South Dakota, southern Minnesota could get hit with a good amount of snow down there. Still a little iffy on snow amounts, but it does look like 6+ inches of snow will be likely throughout some of those areas. After that, the upcoming weekend, not too bad. We'll be in the low 20s upper 20s on Saturday, and then low to mid 30s on Sunday, where we'll then see another chance for a little light snow, maybe even a wintry mix Sunday afternoon.
Okay, that's the last storm, right? The LRC said we're almost done, right? Oh, Justin, you're shaking your head.
Our LRC calendar has got I think it's the 3rd through the 5th or 3rd through the 6th of April. And sure enough, our models are indicating another good-sized storm system right in between those dates. So if you want a heads up on when we're expecting storm systems, they've all been lining up almost down to the day for the last 3 months on our calendars, and those go all the way out through July right now. Again, that's on our website, WDAYradionow.com. But that'll do it for us today. We're back tomorrow, 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM, Fargo-Moorhead.